Okay, so recently all of the support on all of these Mythbuster videos has been insane. So today I'm bringing you guys once again another Fortnite Mythbusters episode. Before we begin, can we smash 15,000 likes on today's episode? That would be insane. And also, if you guys do have a myth you would like me to test in the next or future episodes, go down in the comments below and drop a comment of a unique myth for a good chance to have it featured in the next episode. Also, while you guys are down in the comments below, answer this question that me and my friend have been debating about for the past week. Would you rather take 1 big shield or 3 mini shields? This has been a question we've been asking each other for a pretty long time, and we both have different answers. Myself, I would take the 3 mini shields, but he thinks the 50 pot is better. Anyways, without further ado, let's begin today's episode. Jumping straight into the first myth. The first myth is, if you kill and finish someone and they get revived, can you get the kill again? When I was going through all of the comments on the last Mythbuster episodes, I couldn't even tell you how many of these I saw because it was just that requested. Now, with these brand new respawn buses being in the game, it kind of gets a little bit annoying when you get a kill, but later on in the game you come across the exact same guy and he ends up killing you, right? Now, in that chance that you do meet up with the same guy once again and you do end up killing him after he has been revived, fortunately, you will still be able to get that kill and it will still do a +1. So if you had 1 kill from the guy before, then at the end of the game you do kill him once again, it will go up to 2 kills from the exact same person. So this is definitely a very well made system, and from what I've noticed, there aren't many really flaws or exploits coming to this. Now, this next myth sounds a lot more complicated than it really is. This myth is, what happens if you are rebooting your teammate and you get killed once the reboot loading bar has been finished? Will you lose the game, or will your teammate be rebooted and still have a chance to come back? Now, this is a very good question and something that might not really happen to you in endgame, but if you are playing for the win and you do want to reboot your teammate, now after seeing the outcome of this myth, it might make you think twice if you want to respawn your teammate at the end of the game. When we tested this myth out on my custom matchmaking server, if you didn't know already, we had a total of 3 players and it was in duos. So it was my team versus my friend who was a solo, which then if he would have killed both of us, he would have automatically won the game. So this kind of simulates an end game scenario. Just about a second after I fully rebooted my teammate, and with the time of him teleporting back onto the bus, my account was then killed and sadly the game ended. We then tested this out on a couple different servers, and the only way you could really get the win is if your teammate has been fully rebooted and is running around. He can't really be teleporting midway through and have your teammate killed. Jumping into the next myth. The next myth is, what happens when multiple people revive a player in the exact same respawn van? In game, when we tested this out, I was in my custom matchmaking server once again in duos with a fan that I found on my Discord server. If you guys want to join my Discord, it's discord.gg/Nexiph. I sent it out to everyone, and whoever joined the channel first had a chance to be in the Mythbusters episode. A quick little plug there, but when we did test this myth out in game, I had my teammate get killed, I picked up his reboot card, and then I killed my second account, which was on the other team, and my friend then picked up his reboot card. We then both pressed our action keys at just about the exact same time, and while the countdown timer was going, we were expecting to see what exactly happened. We were hoping to see 2 players pop up at the exact same time, but sadly, when we did get to the end of the loading bar of rebooting our teammates, it was basically a 50-50 chance. I could have sworn I pressed it before him or he pressed it before me, but sadly his teammate respawned instead of mine. This was very interesting, and I guessed if you do want to reboot your teammate, you have to be the first one to that van, otherwise you probably won't have a good chance of respawning him anytime soon. Jumping into the next myth. The next myth is, what happens if you die at the bottom of the volcano? Will you be able to pick up the respawn card because you can't really pick up loot down there? In game, when we tested this out, I tested it on my custom matchmaking server once again. What a surprise, right? In game, when testing this myth out, I had my friend kill my second account while he was basically hovering towards the bottom of the volcano. And to my surprise, the reboot card was actually floating on top of the lava. So I then jumped into the volcano in attempts to pick it up, but when I would fly close to it, it would do the exact same thing as if you were to pick up any sort of item. And when I do skydive down to pick up the reboot card, you could see that it says cannot do that now. And sadly, this means that you basically can't pick it up. You're basically screwed for the rest of the game. In the lucky case that you are able to pick this up, it has to be very close to one of the islands in the middle of the volcano, and you actually have to be standing and be able to hold E down and do the animation of your guy kind of holding his hand out to pick it up. But other than that, you sadly are unable to revive your teammate if they do die in the volcano. Now the next myth is a pretty interesting myth, but a myth that won't really benefit you in game since these items have since been removed. This myth is, what happens if you throw a Porta Fort at a respawn van? Now the only way I could really think about doing this is to do a glitch to get back to the spawn island but still have all of the creative assets just at the click of a button. After I did the glitch and I was back to the spawn island in creative mode, I had a Porta Fort ready and I flew around looking for a respawn bus, but sadly in creative mode they do not spawn at all. So this was a total bummer and this myth was unable to be completed. As of right now in playground mode, regular games, and even any LTMs, Porta Forts do not spawn. Therefore you can't really complete this myth because those are the only ways you could really get a respawn bus. This next myth is one that will most likely benefit you most in a regular game since it possibly will happen to you at least once. This myth is, what happens if you're shot out of a cannon and go past a wall full of poison darts? Will they deal damage to you or even be shot out? In game, when I tested this myth out, I made a massive wall full of poison dart traps. I then shot myself out of the cannon in hopes that at least one of them would attract to me and shoot the poison darts out and hopefully deal damage to me. But to my surprise, every single test, not once did I ever get hit by any of these traps. Similar to spike traps and many other traps, there is a slight delay between you actually getting in range of the trap and it actually taking effect and doing whatever that trap does. With that being said, the speed that you have after being launched out of the cannon is way too quick for any of these traps to really take any effect on your player at all. So you most likely are good unless you do hit like a wall and you do drop down in front of a trap, then you of course will die. But I thought this was a cool myth because it definitely could happen to you, possibly even in your next game. Jumping into the next myth, the next myth is, what happens when a treasure map ends on top of a geyser? Now I'm very fortunate to show you guys this myth because luckily a viewer sent this into me on Twitter. Massive shout out to JohnMan351 for sending this into me on Twitter. This is extremely rare to happen in game and it even happened to him in arena mode at just about 290 points. In game, his treasure map ended underneath the geyser in a point where he was unable to collect it no matter what he did. He tried to slowly creep up to the X and hit it on the ground, even in the near spaces, but sadly the treasure was unable to even be dug up, so it was like a total tease. I've never seen this done before in game and definitely probably won't be happening to any of you guys soon. Now what I thought was pretty funny was every time he would try and inch up a little bit closer, when you felt like he was going to at least hit the ground and dig up the treasure one little bit, he would always get launched up into the air and he'd have to go back down and retry it once again, and I don't think he ever got the chest at the end of this game. Now this next myth is, what happens if an enemy gets a treasure map that your treasure goes to? Now this is basically exactly what happened in my video where I tested to see what happens if you dig up treasure without a treasure map. In this case, I was the one holding the treasure map and my friend then dug up the treasure, which I of course showed him where it was, and after him digging up the treasure and actually opening the chest, the treasure map then despawned from my inventory and basically vanished in mid-air. In another episode just a couple episodes later from that one, I then tested to see what happens if you drop a map before you dig up the actual treasure itself and open it, and in that video itself, the map did end up despawning in mid-air as well. So sadly, you are unable to dig up multiple treasure chests with the exact same map. Jumping into the last myth, this myth is, what happens if a stink bomb is thrown at something moving in mid-air? Will the stink bomb gas actually move in mid-air, or will it just become a massive ball in the sky? This was a pretty good myth, and when we tested it out in game, I kind of had a feeling that it wouldn't really move. But to my surprise, it of course didn't move. I tested this multiple times at all different heights in hopes that it possibly could move and prove me wrong. But every time I threw it at my teammate while he was kind of flying in midair, it would create like a massive like ball in the sky that would deal just a ton of damage to your player. I guess this was a pretty interesting myth, but I of course didn't really have any faith in it, and I didn't think that it would really move or live up to its expectations. Anyways guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. If you do have a myth you would like me to test in the next or future videos, go down in the comments below and drop a comment of a unique myth for a good chance to have it featured in the next or future episodes. But anyways, I will see you guys next time.